Anyway, welcome to the Off Script podcast, as some people are just trickling in. This is our first live stream podcast, which is pretty awesome. And I wanted to bring Krabs on because I knew Krabs was a Maryland native, but also because you're a huge Commanders fan. And we don't talk about the Commanders enough because Jake is a huge Commanders fan. So I wanted you guys to talk about it a little bit. I wanted to get some insight from you on that end as well. So I wanted to start off by just talking about you in general and what you've done in your content creation. So maybe our audience might not know you. So I'd like to know like how you came up in your content creation and also like how you were able to start with Book It Sports.
Yeah. So if you guys want to follow me, if you don't already, at Krabs with a K _bets right here on the screen, or if you want me to spell it out for you, it's literally Krabs with a K _bets if you're just listening. But yeah, I mean, I graduated from Virginia Tech in 2020, did the IT sales stuff that I thought I wanted to do my whole life, hated it, didn't love it. Passion's always been sports. I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to give that a shot. And actually one of my roommates originally hit me up, this is before I quit my day job to do this full time, and was like, yo, Booking with Trent started to do a stream, a live stream on Twitch and TikTok and stuff. This was two and a half years ago, probably now, probably 2 years ago. And he was like, yo, you should go on and pitch him a college basketball play. This is like smack dab in the middle of CBB season. And I was like, yeah, it's a good idea. So I went on there. I gave like the most nervous, worst sell job of all time. I think I was like coughing or something. Like he could barely even understand me, whatever. The play ended up smacking. It was a great play. And I got on absolute fire that week. And he kept bringing me back on. He's like, dude, I need these nasty college basketball plays. And I'm like, I got you, man. But also still have a full-time job. So I did that for a little bit where I would just go into streams for a little. And then I was like, yo, dude, I want to do this full-time, man. And they're like, well, we don't really have that much money right now. And I'm like, well, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it for free. I'm going to start up a show. I'm going to get people on there from the space. We're going to get people starting to talk. I'm going to do it before your stream, get the people loose, right? And we're going to see where it goes from there. So that was, a little over a year ago from now. And now I'm here working full-time with Book It and Book It with Trent, Chelly, Lauren, the whole squads, Javon, my co-host, who's the sharpest guy I've ever met in my life. And it's been really good, man. And it all started because my roommate told me to go in his damn stream like 2 years ago. Crazy.
That's wild. And his stream has grew like, and your stream too, like your show, like that entire like Book It Sports. Like I would say that you guys are the first like big, like I would say betting group or betting, whatever you guys want to call it.
Yeah, we're calling
like
it the betting network now. We're calling it the Book It Sports network, right?
Yeah.
Just encompassing sports betting, content creation all day, every day, live shows, right? We're the only ones really in the space doing it just based off of sports betting. And I think we're doing a pretty good job, but it's been fun to kind of, create our own avenue in this space and obviously talk about sports bets all day. Mainly.
Right. Yeah. And especially so now Mikey Overs, he has the morning after and then it rolls into you and then it goes to Trent. So you guys have a really good schedule going because it keeps me entertained all day. Because for two people who work at home all day, like all we can do is just watch TV and you guys bring such entertainment and bring us sharp bets all the time. So we appreciate that every single day. And I know it takes a lot of hard work. So first of all, what's your favorite experience from Book It Sports in general since you've joined as a full-time content creator?
Ooh, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of really good travel. We've hit some really cool locations, really cool games. I mean, I'd say two things. Number one would be the Super Bowl last year, Chiefs and Eagles. That's probably the craziest thing we've ever done or that I've done since I did this full-time. When me and Trent went to the Super Bowl, I guess a year ago from now, it was insane out there in Arizona. That's got to be up there. And then I'd probably say, number two is just going out there, meeting the squad for the first time, really, for the baseball MLB All-Star game, All-Star break and stuff like that, home run derby, like a year and a half ago, when it was out there in Los Angeles and just meeting them, in person and really just talking baseball because that's a sport that I grew up playing. I know a ton about, so I might not be the best at betting it. I'm better at betting other sports, to be honest with you, but I'm going to sure as hell try, right? And I know how to cover it and talk about it too because I played it. It was cool to talk with them because they're all baseball guys too, pretty much for the most part. So just a good fit, right? I'd say that was a really cool trip right in the beginning out there in LA. And then obviously, the big kahuna going to the Super Bowl was insane.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's insane. Yeah, so I've been following you guys for a bit. I'd say Matt's been following for longer, but it's really cool getting to see what you like the background of what you guys do, and then the experiences you guys get to have. But I want to move into a little bit more of a funnier question, I guess. So we're all
Sure.
here because you guys have made it where you are because of betting, but I want to know
Oh,
what is the most degenerate bet you've ever made.
Ooh, most degen bet I've ever made. I'll be honest with you. I'll give you a little two-part question here, okay, or two-part answer. We were out in Vegas a couple weeks ago for the Super Bowl, and I was trying to, make myself busy during the day, find some winners for college basketball while we're out there, getting ready for the Super Bowl over the weekends. And, the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils are about to tip off in a couple hours, and they're winless at that point. I think they were 0-24 at that point, like 2 weeks ago, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're terrible. So I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to, lock in a ticket on the ML and make some videos about it. And the videos kind of blew up, which is good. I'm saying the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils, they haven't won a game yet this season, but that doesn't mean they can't win today. Well, they went on to keep the game close the whole time. They're actually up late. They ended up blowing it and losing by like 15 or 20, whatever. But then a couple of days ago, I saw they were playing again. And I said, you know what? Why not take one more stab at the Delta Devils? It's senior night. Okay. It's their last home game of the season, right? It's probably their last chance to even pull off a win if they wanted to. They're playing against Prairie View, who's playing their worst basketball of the season. I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to lock them in one more time. The Delta Devils on the ML at plus 420. So great number there, right? Had to take it. It was meant to be. So I locked it in, and what did they do? The Delta Devils come through for their first win of the season.
big W.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable win. For
That's
their first win of the
insane.
year, and the only one they'll get. I'll tell you that right now. The only
Well,
one they're
at
gonna
least your degenerate bet was a win, right? So, like,
get. A rare W in that
that
sense.
should be like a sign to everybody. Like, if you want to be degenerate, like you should 100%. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Let's roll into the Commanders. I want to know more about your thoughts on the Commanders. Talk about bets all the time, and you shit on your own Commanders all the time. First of all, I saw a tweet from you that said that you thought that the Commanders at like plus 2,500 for a Super Bowl win on the sports books was great value, which I don't know if you actually believe that or not, but what would you do to get a Washington Commanders Super Bowl? What's the craziest thing you would do to get a Commanders Super Bowl?
I mean, I do just about everything, brother, to be really honest with you. Like, look, I'll give you my quick sports journey as a fan. I grew up, I have some family from up in Boston. So I grew up a Boston sports fan as a little kid, probably because they were really good. And I took to those teams. Obviously, as the teams locally, we're not great. My friends in middle school started to bully me, and they said, "Hey, buddy, you can't just root for the Boston teams because you got some family up there and because they're good. You gotta change. You gotta pick." So I'm like, "All right, I was born in Baltimore, but those teams stink right now, and it's Baltimore, whatever." Or I got the Nats and the DC teams. Commanders at the time, Redskins are terrible, right? All the teams are atrocious besides the Caps. And I'm like, well, what do I pick here? There's no wins. I guess I'll just go with the local teams that my pops also roots for, because at least I have that going for me. And this, by the way, this is in middle school. Okay, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I say, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to become a Washington fan. And I did. And that was probably the worst decision of my life. Now we're here. The Caps win when they broke the curse and finally got us a championship in DC. That was awesome. I was out there in the streets in
really
Washington. Cool. People were doing snow angels in broken glass. It was absolutely absurd. Passing around handles like everyone's best friends and family. It was great. Like, my buddy was crying. He's a hockey fan, literally tears leaving his eyeballs. I'm not the biggest hockey guy. They're probably fourth on my list below the Wizards, which is crazy. But, that was awesome. And then the Nats won, and that one was special to me. Okay, because the Nats are, I'm a baseball guy, whatever, and they've stunk so bad since they've been a team. That one hit different. Okay, that was by far the best one for me, at least. But a Commanders Super Bowl, I don't even know if I'd be able to handle it. I think I would go nuts in the head if they were able to actually pull it off. That stretch, I'd probably lose all my money going to all the games, going to sit front row at the Super Bowl, whatever. No expenses spared. Okay.
Right.
I would do anything for the Commanders to win a Super Bowl. Seriously, I would give every dollar in my bank accounts, every future bets that I send the rest of the year, any of them that hits, you could take those winnings and put them in a pool and have that go to the team. I don't know. I don't care. I would do anything for them to get a Super Bowl, man, but we're a little far away.
Well, they're starting to turn around a little bit, I think. But we've said that a couple times about them after the Dwayne Haskins pick. We were talking about it years ago, and we were like, they're starting to turn it around, but new ownership, so should be a little bit different than the Dan Snyder era. But I gotta ask, why didn't you become a Ravens fan? Like, you messed up. Like,
I
you're
100%
Baltimore.
messed up. I'll give you the full truth, Matt. You want the full truth?
I want the full truth.
I'll give it to you. You're not going to like it.
Because I'm disappointed when I knew you were from Maryland, and I was like, why are you not a Ravens fan? I need a Ravens fan on Book It Sports to vouch, because I hop on Trent's pod, and nobody likes the Ravens on there. They always shit on me on the show every single time I pitch out a Ravens pick.
Well, I appreciate the heart, though, and you guys are more than welcome to always go up there and pitch a play. Okay, so if you ever need the link, hit me up. But look, I'm a contrarian at heart, so I'll start there. Like, I'm a contrarian in life. I'm not just a contrarian better. There's just something about it. I like to zag when people are zigging. I don't know what it is. That's just how my brain works. I didn't choose this life. I'm left-handed. Maybe I use the different side of my brain. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I'm just here. Okay. And number two, right? I grew up in Annapolis, a pretty wealthy-ish area. I went to private schools, lucky enough to be able to go there, and we had to wear these uniforms every day. Whatever, it stunk. But you get an annual uniform day, like once a month. If you pay some money, donate to a fund or whatever, you get to wear whatever you want on Fridays. And every Friday, I swear to God, during the NFL season, everyone on earth would wear these Ravens jerseys. The guys, the girls, the teachers were wearing them. And nobody knew squat about the team. Nobody cared about the team. They were the fakest fans ever or whatever. I mean, looking back on it, they were in middle school, so how much could they know anyways? I was probably being a little bit of a tough critique. Right. But at the time, I just hated the Ravens because I look around, I see this great team that has, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and all these goats, right? They just won a Super Bowl. And I got to sit there in my desk in my freaking Commanders gear or whatever, looking like a bozo. And I think it just made me, double down on it. I actually hated the Ravens. I hated Baltimore sports growing up. I almost took it as like a rivalry. It was like the weirdest thing ever. And my family's like, half of them are from Baltimore. They're like, what are you doing, man? Why are you hating on the team so much? The teams are everything to the city. And I've come around to them more as time's gone on. I mean, how do you not love the Orioles, right? And the Ravens are great. So the Ravens are a great organization and a great team. So it's hard not to love them and respect them, with Lamar especially. So I've come around to them. But still in my heart, it's too late. Like, they're already engraved. There's nothing I can do at this point, man. Yeah.
Disappointed.
Yeah. No, yeah. I feel that.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I definitely felt the same way.
I've tried to change you like 20 million times.
Yeah. Well, so my story is that my older brother went to the first game after Sean Taylor passed away. He came home with a beanie with the Taylor 21 on it and gave it to me. He was like, hey, I think you should be a Washington Redskins fan. And then that led us to now.
But your brother is a San Francisco 49ers
Yeah, so fan. I don't get that.
It must be nice, man. Right? He's telling you to be a Commanders fan and he gets to be a 49ers fan?
Right. He wanted me to build character. I think that's what it is. Growing up a Washington fan, that's you've gone through some despair, some adversity.
Yeah.
So
you're hurting.
So I mean,
yep.
And then that's like as you said, like, I don't want to be like everyone else. So everyone that I grew up around was Ravens fan, Matt. And if I'm gonna be honest, I haven't said this before.
Oh, don't do it.
But a little part of me, when they lost to the Chiefs, I was like, yes.
No.
Dude, I went to that AFC Championship game. I was hurting. So I'm glad you said yes for me to cry down the street or have tears down my face.
See, I also benefit from them doing well because then, like, Fed Hill is lively. Like, the city of Baltimore is more lively. So it's more fun out there.
The city's better when the teams are better. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's true for any city.
Nobody goes to Baltimore for fun, like in the off season. Like, we're all waiting for the Orioles opening day at this point, like, to go have fun out in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But we'll get more into the Commanders. So I'll let you go ahead, Mr. Commanders fan.
Well, you want me to, I think next on the agenda, you want me to pull up this bullshit report card that we got.
Yeah, so we had a report card for the Washington Commanders. Now, this actually goes into my question for you is, so the report cards came out for the NFLPA talking about every single team. One of the surprising ones, the Commanders were last, but that wasn't really surprising. The Chiefs were actually really surprising. They were number 31 on the list. But talking about the Commanders, treatment of families, F+, food and cafeteria, D+. I mean, all over the place. They were just awful. And one thing that the Commanders are known for is their stadium and what's around it. And I've been there before, and I'm not a huge fan of it either.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went there for a Morgan Wallen concert, and I was not.
I was there for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
super good. super fire. But what do you think personally, like the Commanders should do? Should they build a new stadium? Like, do you think it should be in downtown DC? Like, what can they do to bring like the vibes back? Because when you go to that stadium, like you have to walk 2 miles to even get like good parking, and like the stadium itself, it's weird to get into. It's not very clean or very nice to walk into. So, what would you like to see the Commanders do to actually bring more to the table for the in-person experience for the fan?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love, and I wish I could call it the Fed still, but I can't because they just took the name away too. But I'd love for them to move crazy stuff. I mean, they found a loophole, whatever. If the ownership changed, they were able to get out of it, and they did. So it's probably smart for them. They're saving some money, but it's a no-brainer. They got to put it on the RFK site. And luckily, they had some sort of votes in Congress. I'm not a big politics guy, but some sort of votes went down yesterday in DC where they voted, and it wasn't even close, by the way, that they 100% should give that land to the team if they want it or want to buy it or whatever it is, which is huge because that was a huge step in the right direction. I know it still has to go up the chain of command. I think the president himself has to like sign off on it, but it sounded like it's going to get signed off on. And, with the Caps and Wizards potentially leaving, DC to go to Virginia across the ponds, that's not good for the city of DC either. So I would love to see, the team move into actual Washington, DC itself. And right on that RFK plot of land would be ideal. I don't know if there's enough space for it. I think they'd have to do a lot of work to it, but it would be worth it. And whatever it costs, I mean, I don't care if the owner's losing billions of dollars on it. It's a no-brainer. You got to bring the team. They have to play where they're actually from. I hate the whole, play in Maryland, it doesn't matter. I liked it growing up because it was right down the street from me. But now that I'm in Virginia and, I'm getting older, I'm just thinking about what should be done. What's the right thing to do? It has to go on the RFK site where it all started, where they had all those memories, where the team was actually good. Like people would lose their minds if they returned to that site, right? And it's pretty clear, by the way, that they're probably going to do some sort of renewed lease for a couple of years. They're not going to be out of FedEx Field or that location in the next 2 years, like everyone's saying when their lease expires. They need more time, okay? They're not going to mess this up, and they're not going to rush into it. Our ownership has made that very clear. They're taking their time with everything. Okay, but I think it's going to get done, and my guess is they're going to end up being in RFK, but it's not going to be for another, almost decade at this point, is my guess.
Right. Yeah, that would bring a lot more fun to the DC area in general. Just because when I go there, like I just feel like I'm going into the middle of a random field, like, and then there's like how like you're going through complexes and houses, and then there's just this random like FedEx Field stadium, and it's just, if you don't pay like $150, $200 for parking up front, like you have to take, a trolley or you have to walk, like it's super inconvenient. And I'm trying to like think through what they were thinking like during that process of like putting that stadium there at the time. I think at first I got a lot of hate for it. I'm not sure because the old
they've been getting hate for that stadium for years, man.
Yeah, because the old location was in a much better location. I never 100%. Got to go to that location, but
RFK is in DC. That's the plot of land I was telling you about. So the government acquired that land over the years, and they have not national security, but National Guards, I believe, has a bunch of stuff going on there. And they have like concerts and stuff on the land. There's like parking lots. The stadium's still there. It's in DC. It's like, it literally rotted away. It's the weirdest thing ever. They got to do something about that area anyways. It's disgusting. Right. It's in the middle of DC. Figure it out. Fix it up. Right. Let's use this 2 birds, 1 stone and put the freaking team back to where they all, started, where they were built.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. So talking about the football field and what's going on there, this is a question for both of you guys because we haven't really talked about it very much. But Dan Quinn was hired as the head coach for the Washington Commanders. It seemed like a move that was a last-minute solution, at least in my mind. It felt like all of their top guys that they possibly wanted, like Mike McDonald, and they also were looking at the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, as well. He obviously went back to Detroit. I'll start with you, Krabs. Like, what's your feelings about Dan Quinn and also the hirings that he's done so far? And are you excited for him to be your head coach, or do you feel like maybe this is another bridge head coach, kind of like Ron Rivera was supposed to be, just because of Dan Quinn? First of all, he didn't do very well with Dallas and their defense later in the year. So it was kind of a weird hire. What'd you think about it and your reaction?
So short answer, am I happy that Dan Quinn is my head coach right now? No, I'm not very happy. But I'm happy with the guys he's bringing in. Okay. And look, if you look at what staff he had down in Atlanta when they made that run, and I know they blew it in the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. I get it. That was one of the biggest melts of all time. Terrible. But if you look at the staff, I mean, he had Shanahan running the offense. They had plenty of great coordinators who've gone on to, bigger and better roles in the NFL, right? He had a super team assembled around him. It wasn't just Dan Quinn. That's what we need here. And he's done a great job bringing in a lot of big names. Cliff Kingsbury, right? I'm very excited about. So that's boomer bust. But you know what? You got to be boomer bust, and you got to take risks in this league to beat guys like Patrick Mahomes. You can't just do, the normal shit anymore and expect, good results when you got a guy like that running around. Okay, you got to be different. And if our way of doing that is bringing in all these great football minds who have been head coaches, executives, whatever. I mean, they're bringing in, guys from the Golden State Warriors to come in and help try to build this team. Whatever they got to do, I don't care what it is. I don't care what sports these guys came from. If they're smart, respected guys, they have to be better than whatever the heck we had going on before. And I'm feeling good about that. I'm feeling good about Cliff. Our defense will be in a much better place, right? People think Ron Rivera is a great, defensive guy. He played linebacker in the NFL, right? His defense is really good in Carolina. Ron Rivera was the worst coach ever. Yeah. He even said, he came out loud and said he hasn't coached this team in 2 years because he's been managing the organization. I'm like, that is the biggest cop-out of all time, my man. You've lost your fastball. You are literally Sleepy Ron. You don't even know what's going on around you. People are making fun of you. You don't even know what's going on during your interviews after the game. So is it a little bit of an upgrade from Ron? Sure. We have a more coherent, more active, more, rah-rah version of a Ron Rivera who's running the show. But I'm happy with the guys around him. Now, I'll say this too, and then we'll let and see Jake what his opinions are because I'm very curious. But you see what happened to EB? Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah, he went to
UCLA, right?
Yeah.
To be an offensive coordinator. Like, no wonder why there was no young coaches willing to take a risk in their career to come to Washington, like Ben Johnson. Like we were all saying, Ben Johnson's already there, right? Minus 1,000. Ben Johnson's the next Commanders head coach. Everyone was saying it. No wonder why he didn't want to come here. Imagine the risk of you coming to this organization that's been a dumpster fire for the last 30 years and it doesn't work out. Look what just happened to EB. He said, I guess I'll go back to college now and get a freaking job. Now that didn't work, right? I've lost all credibility. So it makes sense why we didn't end up getting a guy like Ben Johnson. Nobody young in their career wants to take that big of a risk and come to the Commanders, a dumpster fire, if you will. I don't blame them at all. That's why we got stuck with Dan and everyone's shocked. I'm not. I saw this coming from a mile away.
Right.
Yeah, no, honestly, my answer would be very similar to what yours was. Wasn't ecstatic about the Dan Quinn hiring, but he is somewhat of a solid coach. And like you said, I was just more impressed with the coaching staff he built around him. As you said, with Atlanta, he needed a star-studded cast with him, and I feel like he's kind of built that. Cliff Kingsbury, have your opinion on him. He's great with developing quarterbacks. And what are we about to do? Probably going to draft a quarterback with the number 2 overall pick. So I'm ecstatic about that. And what, like, touching on your point, it was a dumpster fire, and it still kind of is. But we've got new ownership. We're heading in the right direction. That's what I am most excited about. I feel like we are heading in a good direction now. We've got Adam Peters in. He seems like he knows what he's doing. Josh Harris, he wants to be involved. He wants to know what's going on. And I mean, he's the owner of how many other teams? I know he's the owner of the 76ers, and like he built them up. So I'm excited with where this organization is heading. If Dan Quinn ends up being a bridge coach, that's fine. This is not going to take a year or two to build. It's gonna be a bit. So we've got the guys in now, and I want to see what we do with it.
So my question, I guess, is so I get your point, Krabs, with Ben Johnson possibly not wanting to come to Washington, but in reality, I think that was the best position available just because you're getting a new GM from the 49ers, which was a massive, massive move. And then you also get to have the 2nd overall pick. You get to have $85 million in cap space. So it's like, if I were a head coach looking, or Ben Johnson, I feel like that is the best place possible. You get to pick your quarterback, you get massive salary cap, and now you get a new GM who you get to grow with as well. Like, I just didn't understand why. To me, Ben Johnson felt like he wanted too much money. I think that was the situation where he wanted like $15 million a year. So,
yeah, I mean, there was some beef going on too, and yeah, you had some fireworks going on behind you. I think you gave him a thumbs up on the camera, and it gave you some sort of graphic there. But,
oh, did it?
It did, yeah. It gave you like fireworks or something there, but hilarious. But yeah, I mean, dude, Ben Johnson and the team had the weirdest combos ever, apparently. Like, he wouldn't even let them fly down to like see him at the ends. And he was like upset that they had basketball guys acting like they knew what they were talking about. And like, who is Ben Johnson to say that at this stage of his career? I don't know. Chirping a guy who built up the Warriors dynasty and brought them multiple championships and built one of the greatest teams ever. I don't get it. The whole thing was just weird. I'm assuming they just didn't fit, right? They probably talked one time and it was a terrible, terrible conversation. I can imagine how that goes, with the Commanders being involved, right? Right. But also, like you said, Matt, sure, it looks like a great, situation and place to go to on paper, right? But this is the Washington Commanders we're talking about. Do you hear what I just said? I just called them the Commanders. That's their name.
Not the same,
These are the decisions they're making. Like, they are a dumpster fire. And until I see results or anything different, I'm going to continue to roast them and continue to roast our new owner and continue to roast the team because they're still graded as the worst organization in football. The NFLPA stuff just got released. Nothing has changed. The results haven't changed. The team quit on themselves, 2/3 the way through the season, maybe even earlier than that. We've got guys like Jonathan Allen coming out, who's a captain of our team and leader and a great guy. And I do believe that stuff. But we got him coming out, and even he's quit on the team, and he wants to be traded. So we really couldn't be in a worse spot. Sure, we're slapping some makeup on it. Sure, we have the most cap space available this offseason. We'll find a way to mess that up too. But until I see the results change on paper, I'm still not, fully bought in here with anything, Matt.
You know what? I really like that mentality because I feel like you should have that mentality because last week we were talking about it and you said you were really excited. But if you have Krabs mentality, then you're not heartbroken, right? I feel like you've
lower
really
your
protected your heart.
Jake. Yep. You got to lower those expectations, right?
Yeah. How old are you, Krabs? If you don't mind me asking.
25.
Okay, so you're a year older than I am. Got it. So, okay, yeah, we're in the same boat there.
Exactly.
We've seen nothing but disappointment our whole
We've
entire
seen the
life.
same shit for 20 years, man. No,
a
whole lot of no.
So with Josh Harris, he's actually at the NFL Combine and he's doing interviews with the quarterbacks, which has never, at least I saw, it doesn't happen very often or ever. I'll let you guys discuss this, but what do you guys think about that? Does that make you a little bit nervous? Because you see owners like David Tepper try to get involved too much in the organization instead of taking a step back, which I thought was surprising in general because he hired all of these people to basically tell him and walk through him like the process and what he should be doing. Maybe they told him to do this, but how do you guys feel about Josh Harris being involved in those conversations with these quarterbacks and being at the NFL Combine?
I mean, I'm personally fine with him being there. I just hope he's not actually involved in like the questioning and the asking these QBs questions. Like, I'm fine with him observing. He's come out and said he wants to see how things operate. I think he even came out and said, like, on draft day, he wants to be in the draft room. He wants to know exactly what's going on. But I am worried about that part. Like, because I feel like we've heard of owners falling in love with a guy and going all in for him, and it just doesn't work out. We want to let the football guys do their job. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, as long as he's not opening his mouth like little Danny Boy would in that spot, right, when he gets too involved and gets his greasy paws all over it and finds a way to mess it up. As long as he's sitting there quietly. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, think about it, right? He's also learning, right? He might have been around the block. He's an old guy. He's smart. He's owned teams before. He's never owned an NFL team. He's still learning, right? And he's also about to make the biggest investment of his life financially, probably to this quarterback who they drafted in the second overall slot here in a couple of months. If I was him, I'd want to be sitting in that room too. I'd be sitting there silently, but I want to meet the kids and shake his hand and say, hey, this is the kid I'm handing the keys over to. This is the future. This is the guy who we're about to name our, leader of, the next decade or two, right? If he ends up being the guy. So I don't blame it. And I think it's an overreaction. I think people are forcing the story because it's the off season. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I guess we don't know the full story. All we know is that he's going to be there. We don't know if he's actually going to be.
You better be silent.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Like, don't run your mouth. Like, don't say anything. Yeah. Like, I feel like, you're right. Like, I feel like if I was an owner of an NFL team, like, I want to be in on those conversations too. And this is probably the biggest franchise altering pick from like the last 5 years, just because it's finally an opportunity. And the way that they got the second overall pick, because at first part of the season, they actually didn't look that bad. They started to get bad on defense like later on, and it turned into a dumpster shit fire. But before that, it actually looked like they could be like an 8-9 or 9-8 team. Like they have potential. And Sam Howell, like I've been vouching. I still love the kid. Like I feel like he didn't get a fair opportunity in general. Like I feel like he'll be a great backup somewhere, maybe with Washington or maybe somewhere else. Like I just feel like they never gave the kid like a fair chance just because of the offensive line and the defense being absolutely horrific, forcing.
Yeah,
I mean, he was basically a rookie at this point.
And,
like
100%. And I've already seen it. Like he'll go on to be the next great quarterback in this league. Like, that's just the stuff that happens to us.
He'll be the guy that follows Aaron Rodgers. That's what's going to happen.
He will be like the next Hall of Fame QB.
See, Krabs, this is the thing: is I'm hopeful, I'm excited, all that stuff, but I also have the same thoughts that you do. Like I'm thinking Sam Howell is going to go on to be the next, like, not GOAT, but he's going to be a very solid quarterback somewhere. And I also had this thought that like somehow we're going to draft like fucking JJ McCarthy with the second overall pick. Like I have a feeling like that.
I've been saying that for the past couple weeks. I keep telling them like they might take JJ McCarthy. You never know
man.
Dude, I think, and we talked about this too. I think some of the NFL evaluators, like we think they overthink it like a little bit, especially with a guy like JJ McCarthy. We were talking about like the Giants and Daniel Jones and how they overthought it in that draft. Like just look, they don't, like Michael Penix, for example, like he's falling down draft boards, but he was just in the national championship. And the week before, everybody was calling him the second best quarterback. Yeah. And sometimes some people were saying he was better than Caleb Williams at that point too. So I feel like some of these
somebody's overreacting, like on either side, right? Like somebody's wrong. Someone's got to be wrong. We won't find out till these boys lace them up in the league, right?
Yeah,
that's very true.
So what do you guys? Who do you guys want? Like, you get the second overall pick. Like, do you guys want to trade up to number 1? Do you want to stay at number 2 and select Drake May or Jayden Daniels? Like, who do you like?
Jake.
So where I'm sitting, so I don't know if you guys saw the video of Justin Fields. His agent posted it of him hopping up and down.
Yeah, I heard that was just like a kickoff thing.
But in the background, someone was like, "Are you ready to go home?" or something along those lines. He's from Georgia. He's from like the Atlanta area. So it almost seems certain at this point that Caleb Williams is going number 1 overall. I think at this moment, I'm leaning that I want Jayden Daniels. At this point, like I feel like we've seen Drake Mays in the Washington organization even, and they just don't work out. Like I'm at the point where I want a mobile quarterback. I mean, the guy just won the Heisman. Like, I don't understand why there's really a question. Like, I guess I get it, Caleb Williams, he's the next Patrick Mahomes or whatever, but like Jayden Williams in my eyes is by far the second best, if not the best quarterback in this draft. So I'm picking Jayden Daniels, but I'd love to hear what you have to say, Krabs.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Harris talked about this and addressed this during the season and said he wants to model this organization, off of the one right down the street. Your guys, Matt, the Ravens. Right. That's what he wants to model this organization after. And you know what? That was music to my ears because I look down the street, and although it's, in Baltimore and got to keep your head down, maybe. The team is unbelievable, and they are run perfectly. Just they're. I mean, sure, there's hiccups,
except for the head coach.
Sure. Well, that might be a combo for another pod. So maybe talk about that too.
In Ravens Twitter, we're not
the team overall. The team. I mean, you guys are blessed. The team's good. Yeah. Sure, they fold a lot in the playoffs, and it sucks, but the team is run the right way, right? And that's music to my ears. Let's run the organization like that. And if we're going to do that, you might as well, not cut any corners here and go right for the jugular and get your mini Lamar. Okay, go out and get the guy who is the most explosive player I've ever seen on the ground since Lamar Jackson. And those highlights at Louisville, the highlights from him in high school doing those crazy twists and stuff and juking people out like he's literally an alien. This is Lamar Jackson 2.0 right here, folks. Right. We cannot let him slip under the rug, okay? He's like that. And sure, he's got some things to work on in the passing game. Sure, he's going to have some bumps along the way, right? But that's what Cliff Kingsbury is here for, the QB whisperer. That's why we just brought him in, because he's going to figure out how to lock in and make Jayden Daniels the best version of himself. I'm all in. If I could do whatever I wanted, if I was running like a Madden league, I would trade everyone on my team, every single player, because they're the worst. They're so toxic and have zero work ethic. Get them all out, trade Jonathan Allen and everybody for that number 1 spot. But the Bears aren't trading that spot because the Bears aren't bozos this year. And the Bears are saying, you know what, screw it. We're going to take Caleb Williams because he's a generational talent and he could be the next Patrick Mahomes. And I agree. I would do anything for Caleb Williams. I would say let's make an RG3 type trades and get rid of everyone we have. Get rid of all of our picks for Caleb Williams. because he's the kind of guy that gets you to a bowl. Okay, you don't get to a bowl with a guy like Drake May, aka Sam Howell 2.0. You don't.
That's what you've been calling him too.
Williams, you get to a bowl with a guy like Pat Mahomes, who's already out there, and there's none of them, right? And you get to a bowl with a guy like Jayden Daniels, who changes the game. Right. That's how you do it.
And all you have to, so what you have to do with a guy like Jayden Daniels is you have to build an offense that's meant for him. That's what the Ravens did at first too. Like at first the Ravens hired, Greg Roman, like they created this unbelievable running game that was unstoppable. And then they started to evolve the passing game as Lamar Jackson got better with his arm. And I feel like if the Washington Commanders do the same thing with Jayden Daniels, like don't force it, like don't make him a pocket passer from day one, like make it easy for him. Like it will take some time, but if you have the same direction as what you did with Lamar Jackson, and more teams should try and do this with these kind of quarterbacks, like as long as you build for the type of quarterback that you're drafting, like you are going to be fine. With Drake May, though, the problem with Drake May is he played at UNC, and Jayden Daniels played in the SEC. So it's like Jayden Daniels won the Heisman, played in the hardest conference in college football. And then you have Drake May, who was up and down throughout certain parts of the year. He missed some easy throws. When you go back and watch, like he made stuff that was easy look harder, but he does make spectacular plays. But nobody is like Jayden Daniels. Like everybody said, he's special. He won the Heisman. Like I feel like people are just looking at a name just like it was Daniel Jones. And also Drake May works with Eli Manning's like trainer or something, just like Daniel Jones did. So if you guys want a Daniel Jones 2.0, it's probably going to be Drake May. Here's my last question for you. And then I want to know about some baseball picks because I when I have you on here, I got to steal some picks from you. So,
gotcha.
All right. So who should be the number one priority for the Commanders to sign in free agency for you guys?
So
go ahead.
Okay. Offensive line. Offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Restart. Get rid of all 5 of them. They're terrible. They're the worst offensive line I've ever seen. They don't care. They don't try. They don't have the size. They don't have the speeds. I'm a little bit worried because there's 2 things we know about Cliff Kingsbury. Number one, we know that he's great with QBs, and he's a great QB developer, and he's going to get the most out of your QB under center. Okay. Number 2, it's that he splits the heck out of his linemen. Splits the absolute heck out of them. So these guys are going to be running absolutely wild. This is not something we're used to, a couple yards away from each other. And if we need, a split offensive line like that, if that's the kind of system we're going to run, we need a significant upgrade on the line. First of all, we already need an upgrade because they are terrible. I mean, just look at what happened last year. Sam Howell, I'm surprised he didn't get hurt. It's honestly impressive. He didn't get hurt behind that line. They were that bad. Seriously, they're not good. Get rid of all of them. Start from scratch. Seriously, go out there and build a super team of an offensive line. Spend every dollar you have on your offensive line, okay? We have a good enough defense. And if Dan Quinn's the guy he says he is, we shouldn't have to invest that much in the defense because Dan Quinn is a defensive genius, like he's saying. That's why he's our head coach now, right? So figure it out, Dan Quinn. Offense. You put all the dollars into the O-line. The receiving core is good. Okay,
really
I didn't even go as far to say really good, right? Yeah. Sure, Logan Thomas is a fossil. They're probably going to cut him. I don't care. We've got enough weapons.
I hope so.
Okay, and we got B-Rob, who I think is poised for a breakout season if we get a no-line. That's where every dollar should go, in my opinion.
No, I'm right there with him. I mean, Sam Howell didn't get a fair chance. I think the kid could have had him.
He got snubbed. I agree.
He did.
He got snubbed.
And it's kind of sad to see how his I mean, it's hard to say that his career is going to go downhill. But I don't think he's going to be a starter anywhere. He's probably going to stay with us as the backup. But the kid didn't get a fair chance. And when they were playing, I mean, they're shit all year long. But when they were playing okay at the beginning of the year, like when we said they were doing okay, like heading towards that 8-9, 9-8 like record, like Sam Howell was able to sling the ball. So 100%, we're bringing in a rookie quarterback. He's going to have his issues. We got to protect him. We have to have people that are there that can. He's the rookie quarterback is going to take longer to go through his reads and everything like that. He's going to need that time. And again, like you said, B-Rob is a phenomenal running back, but he needs people to run behind. And he even did decent this year with what we were working with. So 100%, all the money should go there. I said last week, another thing I'd like to see us invest some money is a pass rusher.
Yeah. Because
even though our secondary is shaky, I think if you could have the best guys in the secondary, if you don't have a pass rush, like they're going to get cooked.
Yeah.
So I think O-line is our number one priority. Second priority, pass rusher, and like I'd throw out the name Daniil Hunter, but 100%
Would have been nice to
O-line
have, Chase Young or, I don't know, maybe the great guy on the fucking Bears. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name.
Montez
Sweat.
Yeah.
Sure. It'd be nice to have one of those two pass rushers, huh? What are we doing?
Yeah, well, Chase Young, I feel like you guys got good value for Chase Young because he's going to go into free agency, and also he didn't perform. I mean, he had a sack in the Super Bowl, but during the playoff, he got benched in the playoffs for his effort.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't do anything else besides rush the QB or rush the ball well. He does that elite, but he can't do anything else. He's a liability out there.
Yep.
Or he sits on the bench because he's hurt all the time too. He was hurt for like 2 years.
I started saying for a long time that Montez Sweat was by far our best defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Or pass rusher.
Montez our best player on defense.
Yeah.
He's our best defender. Seriously. Yeah. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne took big steps back this last season. They got paid. They got complacent. Yeah, look at the fucking stats.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. It was all Montez Sweat, and now he's gone.
Yeah. Nice. And Jonathan Allen, like you said earlier, like he was balled in. He was our captain. He was leading the team. And then like he just fell off. And he even came out and said he doesn't want to be there anymore. So like, and especially after this pass rusher left, they went away. Then I think that's a direct effect of that, but also them just not caring. So if both those two guys walked, him and Deron Payne, I wouldn't give a shit, to be honest.
Also, side note, Jake, I wouldn't be surprised if we do draft a QB at 2, which we probably are. I would not be shocked if we don't trade Sam Howell, because rumor has it there's a lot of teams out there who are probably smart and are seeing what we saw all year, Jake, watching this Moose shit team. And it's that Sam Howell has flashes of being great and making passes that no one else in the league, except for one guy in the Chiefs uniform, can make. Seriously, I mean, that 2-month stretch, their offense was elite.
Yeah. Sam Howell was leading the league in passing yards at one point. And that was like midway through the season. Yeah.
Absolutely elite.
And I love the kid, to be honest. So I would love to see him go get another opportunity somewhere else.
I think Sam Howell and EB got snubbed. I feel bad for them if they weren't in an organization that was making so many changes and so hungry for success, right? If they were in any other organization, I feel like they would get another year, they would get another chance. And I feel like they did their jobs for the majority of the year. And now they're just kind of screwed. Stinks for those guys.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused too. I feel like when EB was hired, I feel like they definitely told him that he would get the reins as the head coach. Like I always thought that from day one.
So there's some behind the scenes stuff. Like people didn't like him. People didn't like EB when he came in.
Yeah.
Players didn't like him. Coaches didn't like him. Kind of a jerk. His own way, my way or the highway. And, that's probably worked his whole life. He's, I'm sure, a football genius, right? Helping crafting up plays with Andy Reid for years, right? He came up with some of those plays. He never really called him in a game, right? But he came up with some of those puppies. The guy just rubbed people the wrong way right off the rip and just never really fit in DC. And maybe that's part of the problem with the culture that was already there, right? Lazy, complacent. The players were bitching about him, making him practice way later than they used to, right? So they were complaining about it, getting hurt and stuff like that. That's the kind of mentality that losers have, right? And that's why you see the team stink and not be good and give up, halfway through the season, like what our captains did last year. Right. Maybe he wasn't the problem. Maybe everyone else around is. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll let you go, but I need to know your best baseball bet. Do you have any futures or anything that you've crafted up yet? I'm ready for them. I have my notes ready because I'm gonna tell you've been, dude. You see, I'll tell you this while you're here. I always told Jake, and I said that I love looking at the money versus the bet percentages now because of you. Because when I started betting like a year ago or so, like I started watching you and seeing how you zagged, like you were talking about earlier. And I started paying attention to those things because of you, because every single time you would post on Twitter, you would say, hey, the bet percentages are here. Like, I'm just going to fade just because of the bet percentages. And it works out a lot of the time. So I'm going to give credit to you on that.
I appreciate that, my man. Trying to change the way people think, right? It's so easy to log on to your, apps or whatever and just pick the most simple-minded, bet where you pick the best team of the night to win or you pick the best player, LeBron James, to go off, whatever. It's hard. You got to condition yourself. And I haven't always been like this in the betting game, right? When I first started betting at the end of high school, I stunk at it. I was the biggest square on earth. I would take stuff that made sense. And I've learned through the years that, if bets like that hits, Vegas wouldn't be as shiny as it is right now, right? It's just simple math. If easy bets that people all took smacked, these places would be out of business and they wouldn't be as wealthy as they are, right? It's not rocket science. It's kind of common sense if you really look into it. So that's just kind of how I roll, right? And I got some angles for this MLB season that I'm super down to talk about. Number one, it's near and dear to my heart. I hate to say it, but if I had a gun to my head and I had to hit a bet, I would be taking the Nationals win total under this season.
Okay.
It breaks my heart. Okay. But they overperformed last year at times. I mean, I'd say overall they overperformed. Davey Martinez kind of had his back against the wall last year when they pretty much said you're about to get fired because the team's so bad, and all the players stepped up. They love him. He's a player's coach. And they kind of balled in the second half of the season and really impressed some people. CJ Abrams leading the way. Some of those young arms, Josiah Gray, Mackenzie Gore, they got some promise, right? But everyone else is atrocious, okay? And everyone else is a couple years away. Their offense, I mean, they've got some studs in the minors who right now are balling. You're probably seeing some home runs on your feed on Twitter, right? You're a local guy. James Woods, he's going to be the next Aaron Judge. But these guys are about a year or two away, all right? They're still about a year away or so. And I don't know if they're going to be in a rush to bring these guys up this season. I don't understand why they would be, right? When they still need to go out and get some arms, probably next season. They're going to be bats, okay? And I'm watching their win total drop from 68.5 to 66.5 with the juice, moving towards the under. I'm feeling really good about the Nats win total under, and it really breaks my heart because I liked what I saw last year, but I know that there's regression coming. Okay, I know there is. Their pitching is just too bad. They can't win, 3 games a week with Mackenzie Gore, Josiah Gray. That's it. Everyone else is atrocious.
Right. Yeah. Are you? Have you ever been to? Do you go to Orioles games at all?
Yeah, I've been there.
Dude, you have to. I don't know if you're going to go to Nationals opening day, but if you've never been to Orioles opening day, you should go. It's like a huge party. So much fun.
I've never been, but my dad used to go with his buddies in the neighborhood every single year, and they would rent a car and come back absolutely hammered.
We need that energy from you.
I will be at the Nats opening day 100%, but I'm sure the O's opening day will be way more fun, way more of a party, and at least the team will be good to watch. But I'm a Nats guy. Dude, I wish I could switch. I really do. And Jake, I'm sure you hear this from Matt all the time. Hey, why don't you just, throw on an Orioles jersey? Why don't you just throw on that purple, right? The Ravens jersey.
Just so easy.
I wish I could, but it would be so easy, right? All you got to do is root for him and throw it on. But for some reason in this noggin freaking loves Washington sports, man. He can't get enough of it, and he's probably got something wrong with him up there because he loves him so much. But, man, I can't get enough of them. I'm so excited for the Nats this year. If they're going to stink, take that win total under, okay? But I'm so excited to watch baseball again.
Yeah.
Another couple fun plays. I'd say CJ Abrams is going to soar over his stolen bases. So here's some positivity for the Nats. We're already seeing CJ Abrams steals get bumped up this season pretty much everywhere. He's going to get 50 steals this season. So if you could take him, if you wanted more of a value play, you could take him to lead baseball in steals for like a sprinkle lunch money and with the fat payouts. Probably not going to hit. Maybe it will. I do think he gets 50 plus. Depends on everyone else in the league. Or you could just take his more than 38.5 stolen bases this season. He's going to soar over that number. And I'll give you one more. Okay, this one is crazy. This is a Krabs play and a half. The Oakland Athletics will be better than people think this season.
Oh, no. Don't tell me you're doing their over.
Take their win total over. They are going to get more than 60 wins this year. Okay? Hate to
is
say
that what they're at, 60?
They're somewhere around there. And the numbers keep moving around, but they're going to go over their win total this season. Look, they actually played a little bit better than people think at the end of last year. They started to get going. They've got some young talent this year that impresses me a little bit that they're going to be showcasing before they trade away to the Yankees like they do every season. But they still got some guys this year, and that is probably the nastiest, grossest bet that nobody wants to take just right off the rip that's going to hit. Oakland Athletics to go over their win total this season. You heard it.
You know what? I'm going to take that just because you said it's a Krabs bet. And I want to celebrate with you after it hits because we're going to be the only people on earth taking the over Oakland Athletics on their wins. Krabs, thank you so much for coming on here. I've enjoyed getting to talk about Washington Commanders with you and getting to meet you. And seriously, thank you for taking the time to come on.
Thank you very much.
And we hope to see you soon. I hope to see you in Baltimore at an Orioles game this year. So if you're ever in town, let me know.
100%, brother. Jake, keep your head up. All right. There are better times ahead. Don't let my doominess and gloominess bring you down. Okay. There are better days ahead. They might just be a little further away than we want, but they are ahead. We'll be okay. All right.
Hey, I did predict them to win the Super Bowl in 2035. So, I'm
that could be realistic. Jake. That could be. Get the tattoo now. Get the tattoo now. All right. That goes to the bottom. Thanks.
I'll tweet it at you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day.
Yep.
All right. That was great. That was awesome.
He's
Yeah,
really
he's
cool.
super cool. One of my favorite bettors. And once again, if you want to go follow him, you can follow him on Twitter, X at Krabs_bets. I think I'll double check that, but you 100% should go follow him. He is a massive and great sports bettor. And I'm not just saying that. Like, you can check his track record on Pickett. Like, he does a phenomenal job, and on his show Behind the Lines, which I watch every now and then when I have time throughout the week. Like, they have such a good schedule with like all three of those back to back to back, and such great energy and great personality. So Krabs, thank you so much for coming on here. Jake, I want to play some NFL games. Also, if you guys would like to join the podcast right now, live, you can. I am going to drop the link underneath a tweet, and I'm also going to drop it in the comments on YouTube. You can hop on here and you can talk about anything that you want to, and you can just get, any NFL, any baseball, anything that you just want to talk about. You can talk about it on our podcast with us. So, Jake, I want to play Wavelength because I see so many people do it, and I just want to do it. So let me think. So do you want to, let me think. Do you want to do the number? Or do you want to guess the number?
Like, do I want to pick the number or do I want to guess? I want to guess.
Okay, you want to guess?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's play NFL Wavelength. Let me try that again. Let's play NFL Wavelength. Close your eyes if you want to play along. Okay, so close them. So the number is, okay, and you can only do this by using NFL players. So now you can open your eyes and you can guess, like, you can ask me a quarterback, you can ask me a running back, receiver, whatever, and I'll tell you. So you can be like quarterback, running back, and I'll give you a player, and you'll have to base the number based on that, if that makes sense.
Got it. How many indicators do I get?
I've never seen anyone. I'll give you 5 indicators.
5?
Yeah, I'll give you 5.
5 and then a guess.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to start with the receiver.
Receiver. So let's go with, man, this is tough because I don't want to throw you off. Let's go with Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman. Okay. Do you want me to give you the number where I'm thinking right now, or do you want me to just
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking 68 is where I'm sitting at right now.
6 to 8?
68.
Oh, it's 1 through 10. 1 through 10.
Okay. I watched the other guys, BDG, then they do it.
Yeah, they do it.
So I'm going.
I'll make it a little bit easier.
I'm gonna put him at a 6.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Give me a running back.
Okay. Let's go with. As of right now, Brian Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Feeling good. We'll bump up to a 7.
Okay.
All right. Give me a tight end.
Let's go with Jonnu Smith from Atlanta. He just got released.
Yeah. That deters me a little bit. Okay. All right, so I got 2 more and then a guess. Give me.
What number would you say for him?
See, I feel like I got to bump it back down to like a 6.
Okay.
For Jonnu Smith.
Okay.
And any position?
Any position.
All right. Yeah. I know what I'm gonna end with, but give me pass rusher.
Okay. Ooh. You know what? We just talked about him. Chase Young.
Ooh. All right. I'm gonna stay at a 6.
Okay.
All right. Give me a quarterback.
Okay. This one's the easiest if you do a quarterback. Let's go with let me think. No, I'll go with your guy again, Sam Howell.
All right. I'm locking in at 7.
Damn, man, you had it all the way there. It's 6. You guessed 6 3 times, and you still went 7. After this,
We were just hyping him up like the entire time.
I just play the game with you. I hyped him up just so I can throw you off. But it was like Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
And then I went to, who was my pass rusher? Chase Young. He's about 6
See,
or
but
7.
I wanted to bump down to like a 5 for him.
For Chase Young?
We were just shitting on him.
And then, oh, geez. And then who else did I go?
I started with Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman. That's about to say. You were right on target with that one.
Yeah. And then went to running back. I can't remember who you said for running back.
Brian Robinson. I did a lot of Commanders. I tried to help you out.
Yeah.
And once again, if you guys would like to join the podcast, you can by clicking on the link that I just put into the comments. Okay, another game. Start, bench, cut. Let's do it. Let's start, bench, cut. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase.
Just right now.
Yep, right now.
Starting Jay Jettis.
Okay.
I don't think that's a question.
Okay.
I'm
over Tyreek?
Yes.
Okay.
Benching Tyreek, cutting Jamar Chase. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I said it.
I would go start Tyreek Hill. Oh. No, I'll start Justin Jefferson. I'll bench Jamar Chase and I'll cut Tyreek Hill.
Okay. See, that's if Justin Jefferson didn't get hurt, no one would be talking about Tyreek as being the best receiver in the league, in my opinion.
I feel like so the thing about Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill, like I feel like Jamar Chase has more in his bag. Like I just feel like he's more of an efficient route runner than Tyreek Hill is. But that speed from Tyreek Hill is just fucking, it would be really hard to say no to that. All right, so let's talk about some NFL news as we come to the last half of the podcast. So there was a article that came out. First of all, I want to talk about this Mountain Dew Zero Sugar Baja Blast because I've been drinking it. Dude, this shit is no ad. This shit is fucking phenomenal. I don't know if you've had it, but the Zero Sugar is better than the regular.
I think Zero Sugar for all sodas is better than the normal one, but I don't drink caffeine anymore. So like, otherwise I'd love to, but
you're still on the no caffeine kick.
Yeah.
How long's it been? Because you were a caffeine freak.
Yeah. Well, I think that was my problem, to be honest. Was I was probably consuming around, not even kidding, like 800 to 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day between just sodas, like zero sugar sodas, pre-workout, and then I drink like energy drinks throughout the day as well. So
really,
yeah, and then that just made my anxiety go through the roof, and I didn't know why. And so like I went to therapy, and my therapist was like, how about we cut out caffeine? Or so we slowly started going down, and then got to a point where I didn't do it at all. And then now I honestly just feel like I have energy naturally. So I don't know.
So when you wake up in the morning, like you just don't crave it anymore, like at all. Like you're half asleep. Like you just, well, I know that you're working hard right now because of tax season, but like you just woke up and you haven't craved like a nice coffee in the morning.
Not in a long time. Right now because I'm in the middle of tax season, I get up and I feel refreshed and everything. Like I go to the gym, have a good workout, but then it's like that in between period. Like I don't eat my first meal until like 10:30, but by the time I get home from the gym until 10:30, it's like I'm sitting there like barely can keep my eyes open. That's at the time where I'm like, damn, it'd be nice to have a cup of coffee or an energy drink. So I don't actually crave the caffeine. It's just like the idea of having energy when I don't have it. Like that's it.
I don't know how you get natural energy. I drink Celsius every morning. Like I get a whole pack every single month. Like, and people were shitting on me because I said it's God's night. Well, there was like this graphic that like gave odds of best like caffeine drinks or whatever, and I said Celsius at like plus whatever it was is great value. Like I feel like it's because it doesn't have as much caffeine as like a Red Bull. I did have a Red Bull for the first time this morning. I was getting shit done. I was like fucking rolling this morning.
First time?
Well, in a long time.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
I got the zero sugar one, and I was fucking rolling. But then, like after I'm done like working or doing whatever I'm supposed to do, like immediately anxious because I'm like, I need to do something or else I'm like I can't do it. And then I crash later on. I'm starting to get a little bit tired now. And then one more thing. I wanted to do a Reddit story of the week. So we usually do, if you haven't watched the podcast before, we usually do a video of the week. But this week, I want to do a Reddit story. So I am a brand new user of Reddit. Never used it in my life. Do you use the app?
Not anymore.
Unless I'm searching for answers.
When crypto was booming and like people were like, oh, buy crypto, all that shit, like I joined a bunch of those pages and I was like on it frequently because I almost hopped on that trend of dumping a bunch of money into crypto. Didn't end up doing it, thank God. But I still have that on there, but that's the only time I ever go on it. Unless I like Google search and then it's like one of the Reddit things is an option.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I wanted to join Reddit was because of all the stories that I kept seeing on TikTok. And I found one today. So there's like this, I don't even know what they're called. I guess a forum. I don't know how Reddit works yet. So don't flame me for that. But it's called Am I the Asshole? So people basically go on there onto this forum or whatever and say, am I the asshole for this? And then give a story.
Yeah,
so here's a story that I found today that was pretty wild is, am I the asshole for going no contact with my mom after she had sex with my boyfriend? He, 18 years old, is my 18 female ex now, obviously, but we were together when he cheated on me with her, who was 42 years old. This hurts even more because she was the one that encouraged me to ask him out. He and I have been best friends since we were 13. When we were 16, she told me to stop being afraid and pursue him. I found out about the affair last week when I came home much earlier than I was expected. Professor was sick and called lecture, caught them red-handed. Mom tried to apologize and said that she just wanted to feel young again. I still blocked her anyway. Now my grandparents are telling me I'm going too far and that because she put a roof over my head and food in my mouth, I shouldn't cut her off entirely. They think I should go home and eventually forgive her.
So mom slept with her boyfriend.
Yeah, mom slept with her boyfriend. So he's 18 and the mom is 42. And slept with her boyfriend. Would you ever forgive your mother if it was like, or I guess your father? Yeah. Would you ever forgive your father for having sex with your girlfriend?
Yeah, I think I would. Bullshit. My dad would be dead. I'm telling you now. I am killing him. I'm killing him as soon as I catch him, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
I am one, just in general, I'm a person that like cheating is just that is the last thing you would ever want to do.
But to do it with a parent?
Yes. I mean, dude. But
and for people to put this on the internet, there was also another story about somebody's husband and wife. This husband has he's scared of demons, and he thinks that having potatoes rubbed on feet will like cleanse them. So while she's asleep at night, he will go and rub potatoes on her feet. Actually,
dude's just got a freaky foot fetish or something. I don't know.
Dude, and she was like, am I the asshole because I told him he can't do that anymore? I'm like, no, you're not the asshole. Like, if somebody woke me up with a potato on my feet, I'm freaking out.
Yeah. That's I've seen on TikTok a lot of where like the AI is reading through these Reddit forums, I think is what they're called or whatever.
Yeah, forums. Yeah.
And like there's the wildest shit I've ever heard. And so that's at some point I'm like, are some of these actually real or are they just like made up stories?
Yeah.
Like that one seems kind of reasonable. Like the one you just read,
that one seemed, I tried to find a reasonable one because some of them were way like too crazy to even say. But I feel like there's really good writers on Reddit. Like there is a ton of people that maybe use that as a writing exercise and they do a really good job and keep me entertained. And I am now going to be a Reddit user. It's like a Twitter, but like more of like a get your feelings out and you get reactions to it at that point. Like, and everybody seems, I don't know, but it seems like more people are respectful on that app compared to Twitter because
it's the more intellectual Twitter for sure.
Yeah, I think I really like it, and there's a lot of stories on there about NFL and people like in the sports world. Like it's pretty crazy in their experiences in that. All right, so let's get into some NFL news. So let me take a look at what we have first. So the franchise tag. So there has been some players that are scheduled to be franchise tagged. If they don't get a contract, a player has already been franchise tagged. T. Higgins. What do you think about the franchise tag in general? And do you think that the NFL should continue to have the franchise tag for these teams? Because a lot of the players hate it, and the NFLPA itself doesn't like it as well.
Yeah, so that's I don't think I really fully understand what it means to franchise tag a player. Can like you give me a brief overview?
So uh, basically what it is you can use the franchise tag on one player per year. You can use it twice on the same player, but only twice. After that second year, they have to be a free agent, and they get paid based on what the market is going for that one season. So, for example, like Justin Madubuike, he is due $22 million for one season if he is not signed to a long-term contract. Now, some people use it as an advantage because you get a longer extension time to be able to sign them to a long-term extension.
Right,
so it kind
okay.
of gives you more of a push deadline.
Yeah.
And you're stuck with them.
So it basically just holds a player from even looking at other options and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they can be traded if they're tagged, so you get something for them in that season.
Got it.
Instead of waiting for the compensation pick the next year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems useful to the teams, but like it's just not. It's a negative for the players. Like I don't think there's any positive to it. Like so for players wise, I think it's awful, and I think it shouldn't be part of the game anymore. But for some of these franchises, like I don't know exactly. I'm sure you do. Like how the Ravens cap space is doing right now. Like
yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. So would they are they going to be a better situation a year from now?
With cap wise?
Yeah.
Probably not, just because of Lamar Jackson's contract like coming into play. And they have Roquan Smith on a $100 million contract, Ronnie Stanley, all those guys. So probably not. And the franchise tag. But the reverse part of it is that they have to deal with that cap hit for that year. So like for Justin Madubuike, for example, or T. Higgins, like it's going to take a lot of cap space just for that one player for 1 year instead of extending and pushing that money back.
Yeah. But as you said, like it's leaning towards that Madubuike, and then we're going to get to an extension at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get that, but after the year he just had, like I feel like he would be offered a multi-year deal for a lot more from somewhere else. So it's still just like, I guess, a useful tool for the teams, but player-wise, like I don't know, because there's some players that really want to get out, and there's no clause to it. There's no way to get out of a franchise.
Yeah, no way, unless you sit out. Remember Le'Veon Bell? He got the franchise tag, I think, that season, and he held out for the entire year. So the problem that I have, there's good and bad with it, because the problem is the players, like you said, like they don't be able to see what they're worth. They don't even give like the opportunity for them to go seek somewhere else where maybe they can come back with a contract for that team. So like, for example, like with the Ravens, just because I know their cap situation so well, like last year, what the Ravens said putting the franchise tag on, there's another one called the exclusive franchise tag, which essentially means you're a free agent, but the team has a chance to match whatever the contract is. So I feel like that should still be in place. I feel like that's more, but the problem is if you sign the player, you have to give up 2 first-round picks if you're an exclusive rights free agent or exclusive rights, whatever, franchise tag. So it's good. It's good for the organizations to keep their own, and it's worked out for some, but it also sucks for the players, because then they have to play on a 1-year deal. Yep. And then if they get injured, they're screwed entirely. Yep. So I feel like they should take it out of the game completely, or at least have the exclusive franchise tag where they can go out and seek, and then the team can get compensation, but not 2 first-round picks. Maybe it should be, I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know if a quarterback gets more first-round picks than, I don't know, defensive lineman. I don't know if there's a difference there. Maybe there is. And maybe they should do that. Like it should be a first-round pick for a quarterback. It should be like a 4th-round pick for a defensive tackle, whatever. Like I feel like at this point, like keeping them hostage isn't helping the situation. And also a lot of players get pissed off and not want to sign anyway. So, but if you hold out, like just because of the Le'Veon Bell situation, like people might not want to sign you because you haven't played football an entire year. Yeah. So,
no, I think my opinion on it is that the franchise tag, it's just kind of grown old. It's out of date almost. So I would much rather see it go to 2 of those exclusive tags or whatever we're calling them. I think that's just maybe not better for teams, but we're moving towards a player-led league. So I think I know it's hard to say when we're paying these guys tens of millions of dollars, but we got to look out for the players. Like that's what we're watching every Sunday. Like it's not about who the owner is or like really it means a lot about the organization, but like we're tuning in every Sunday to watch these players. So let's keep them happy. So they're not sitting out, and it's just pay these guys their money.
As long as the league doesn't turn into the NBA where it's fully controlled by the players.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely hate that. There needs to be a good checks and balances there.
Yeah.
For sure. Another rule that can be changed this offseason is the fumble through the end zone rule. So that could be changed. There was talk today that's probably not going to be changed, but they are going to discuss it. What do you think about the rule? And do you think they should change that rule? Because that has been a huge topic of conversation. Every time that comes up, I always see that dude, My Sports Update, Ari. He always says it's the worst rule in football, which I highly disagree with. But what do you think about the rule, and do you think they should get rid of it?
I don't think they should get rid of it at all. If I'm going to be honest, just don't fumble the ball.
Yeah, it's that easy. That's where the conversation should like end. Like just hang on to the football. Like I just never understood where, and also it's giving an advantage to the offense. Once again, if you fumble the ball outside the end zone and then you get the ball back immediately, so it's harder for it's already hard for the defense to be able to force turnovers and be able to hit anybody now in this league. Like to give the offense another advantage, like what would you even do? Put them at the 20-yard line? Like I haven't heard anybody give a good example of what they would do.
Yeah. I think the only way you get rid of that rule or change that rule is that if you fumble it outside the back of the end zone, it's either you not even reset the play, you lose it down, you reset to where you started that play at. But at the same time, you're like not helping the defense. And as you just said, like it's already hard enough to play defense in this league. Like it's impossible at this point almost.
Yeah.
Like so I don't understand why you're going to hurt the defense because people are upset with this rule. Like just don't fumble the ball. It's as simple as that.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I agree totally. I just don't, if someone came with a good solution, I may hear it out, but I haven't heard one person give a solution. Like all they do is go and bitch on Twitter and just say this rule sucks. And I'm like, I've literally comment every single time and I'm like, how would you change it? And they're like, well, just put them at the 20-yard line. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, if you fumble the ball anywhere if you fumble the ball anywhere else, the ball is stopped there. So just put them at the 1-yard line. I've heard that too. And it's like, so it goes out of the end zone, but then how do you change the other rules where if someone fumbles in a certain situation and it goes out of the back of the end zone, like a kick return, for example, if they fumble and it goes back, is that a safety at this point? Or do they get the ball back at the 20-yard line? Like there's so many variables to it. So I just don't understand. Also, the tush push is not going to be banned. Very happy about that. I don't know if you're happy about that just because of the Eagles, but they said that the Eagles are very good at what they do and they shouldn't be punished for it. And I fucking love that.
Yeah, as a fan of football, I would say I don't hate it. I mean, it's just a solid play, and like everyone can run it. It's just it's whether you're good at it or you're not. Right. And they just have a quarterback that squats 500 pounds and one of the best offensive lines. Of course, is it going to be as good without Jason Kelsey?
Yeah. Exactly. A lot of their offensive line is, and what I never understood is like, why don't other teams copy it? They try and it doesn't work. So it's like, if it was working for every single team and we just kept seeing it over and over and over and it was obviously exploited, like, then yes, then you ban the play. But for one team to do it and be really good at it, how would you ever ban that?
Yeah. And I mean, if the Eagles with these past 2 years since they've been running, if they've gone to the Super Bowl and won every time, maybe it's a different story, and maybe we should take a deeper look at it. But we just saw what happened to them this past year. Tush push, they were still running it, and they lost the last six games, something like that, or 6 out of 7 or whatever it was. So it's like it is unstoppable, but there's just
it has been stopped though.
Yeah,
like teams have stopped it. I'm not sure who did. I think Seattle did it one time with Bobby Wagner. And I think the San Francisco 49ers did it too, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So other NFL news is former NFL GM Michael Lombardi said this about Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce. He thinks he knows the Raider way because he's from Compton. It's a joke. The guy is driving me crazy. Can he just shut up? Why won't somebody in the Raiders tell him to shut up? Came off a little racist, but I'll let you talk about it. I love him, by the way. I think he's awesome. I think Antonio Pierce is great.
What I don't understand is it seemed like, well, first of all, that Raiders team seemed completely different once he took over. Like they seemed to all love him. But on that NFLPA thing, like, I don't know if it was because he stepped in midway through the season, like he got a really low grade, which I didn't understand because it seemed like every Raiders player, or at least every leader on the Raiders, like vouched for him and loved him, and like even Max Crosby said, if he's not back next year, like I might request a trade,
Yeah,
or something, or he doesn't want to be there. Like, so obviously guys responded well to him. And if he's, I just don't understand, like, who is Michael Lombardi to be speaking on that?
yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Like, why him? Like, just to get some clickbait for his show? Like,
yeah, I don't.
And also, you know, just the energy that he brings to that organization. Like, he completely changed them around. They were a pretty good team at the end. And I'm trying to find I found the Raiders report card. So their head coach got a D.
Yeah.
But no. I think that was based off of Josh McDaniels.
Okay,
It was not based off of Antonio
sense.
Pierce. I think I did see that. He was the lowest rated one out of all of them. So we don't know exactly what that is going to be. But yeah, to me, it came off a little bit racist. First of all, why the hell are you mentioning Compton? Like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? He never like goes out of his way to every single time he's out there saying like, I'm from Compton. Like, he is from that area. Like, he knows the Raider way. Like, he wants to change the organization. Like, why are we pissed off about that? And like, but yet Dan Campbell can go out and say that he wants to bite kneecaps. But when Antonio Pierce says that he wants to basically hunt after Patrick Mahomes, it's a problem now. Like, what's the difference here?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't, I want to coach like that. Like, that's how I would see it. And like, you know, and the locker room responded to that. Like we were talking about with Krabs earlier with Eric Bieniemy with his problems, like winners want that. Like Max Crosby is actually like begging for a coach like that because it doesn't come around very often.
Yeah. Well, that's all the players have bought into it. Whatever way he's portraying, like, it's working. It seems to be working. So I don't understand the problem. The only thing I can think is Michael Lombardi is the biggest meat rider of Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And so after those comments came out, or whatever Antonio Pierce said, and people were up in arms or like about it, that's why he made the comments that he did.
Who is Michael Lombardi? Was he a former NFL GM or something?
I was hoping you would tell me.
I have no idea who he is.
I've heard of the name. I feel like I've heard of the name, but
I feel like I always hear him, like his name when it comes. I think he's like an analyst now or something. He's an insider who breaks news, but every time that I see him, like, I feel like it's always bullshit coming out of his mouth when I see it on Twitter. Some other NFL news: Russell Wilson says that he wants to win two more Super Bowls, and he wants to do it with the Denver Broncos. He said this on the Brandon Marshall podcast. So I don't know why he said that. I thought that their relationship was fucking over. But he did say that he wants to go back to Denver and he wants to finish what he started. What did he start? I don't know what he Broncos country. Let's ride. He did start that. But I watched the podcast and you can tell Russ is a fake. So like, I've admitted that I think Russ is a nice guy in some ways. Like during the contract situation, he like stood up for himself and he should. He is fake nice as hell because I was watching him on this podcast and he had all these motivational things. And I feel like he's just saying this just to look like the good guy. But I think in reality, he wants to go somewhere else and win these Super Bowls that he speaks of that are very hypothetical.
Yeah. So I saw the part that said he wants to win 2 Super Bowls in the next 5 years?
Yeah, 2 Super Bowls in the next 5 seasons.
I didn't.
Why not 5 out of 5? Why 2 out of 5?
I guess he's setting a
loser mentality
expectation.
Loser mentality.
Maybe. But he's leaning in that nice thing. He's like, yeah, the other teams can win some too. Like, I'm not a.
Oh yeah, he's too asshole. Nice. Yeah.
Like that's definitely like a Kirk Cousins answer. Like in my opinion,
I feel like Kirk Cousins would I feel like Kirk would say like, I want to win the next 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but he's saying it in like the nice white dad way. Like it wouldn't come off as cocky or anything. I'd be okay with him saying it.
Yeah, I'd be really okay with him saying it. But that's because, did you see he got grills? Kirk Cousins?
I did.
He got gold grills.
Yeah.
It looked awful. It was terrible. Yeah, he should have gotten the silver grills.
I saw someone said that they're going to have to upgrade him to the
Justin Jefferson.
Diamond. Yeah.
I wonder how he'll feel when.
I hope that's not real. The grill.
He was at the dentist, wasn't he?
Yeah.
How do grills work? Do they do you have to, like, when you put them in, like, is it hard to get them taken out, or like, can you just pop them in, or?
I don't know.
I've never known like how grills work. Like, because I see NFL players wear them and then not wear them. So I'm guessing it's something that you can just pop in, because Alvin Kamara did it for a long time.
Yeah. No, I feel like it's almost like just a very solid retainer almost. It's like it's very form fitting to your teeth and you kind of pop it in, but
How expensive are they? They're pretty expensive, aren't they? How many likes for you to get a grill? Would your insurance policy cover it, you think?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
All right. So other NFL news, McCole Hardman reportedly was giving out the Jets offensive game plans to other teams before the game. So two of the examples were the Chiefs and who was the other team? The Eagles.
Eagles, right?
Yeah, he was giving out offensive game plans to the Eagles and the Chiefs. And funny enough, the Eagles lost that game to the Jets, and the Jets had their best offensive performance when they played against the Chiefs. Do you think he should be suspended from the NFL if this is found true? Because I don't know if you've seen the tweets from like Thomas Morstead and from Sauce Gardner. Like, they came after him pretty heavy for some reason, just because he went on the podcast and said that he never got an opportunity with the Jets. So
yeah, I mean, if it's true that he was giving out offensive game plans, 100% he should be suspended.
But how long? Like, because I don't think that's ever, like, I know Bill Belichick did the videotaping, but I've never heard of a player like giving out offensive game plans. So
yeah,
I wonder if that would be.
I feel like that's got to be in their contract somewhere, that you can't like basically tamper with your own team's like goals pretty much. Like, that's essentially what he was doing. I also saw the thing about him saying that like offensively there was no like actual like set structure. It was whatever Aaron wants to do is what goes. Then he said the defense was fine, like their coaching was good. But like, what is his issue with the Jets? Like, what happened while he was there? Was because he wasn't getting the ball?
Yeah, he said on the podcast that he wasn't getting an opportunity, and he felt like, you know, some of the guys in front of him, he said that was okay that they revolved the offense around Garrett Wilson, but he was saying the other guys, they had those undrafted free agents who got to play more than he did. I feel like they should have used him more. Like, he's a Super Bowl winning wide receiver. Obviously, he was pretty decent for the Chiefs. He won 2 Super Bowls before this season, like not even counting the game winning like catch. He was a pretty decent receiver. Like, he wasn't a number 1 or a number 2, but to not get rotations when Zach Wilson's your quarterback and nothing else is working is pretty wild to me. Like, I don't understand. And for Thomas Morstead to be pissed off about his comments, because he didn't even say anything about the offensive game plan, I don't think. He was just saying that basically you're a piece of shit because you're talking shit about our organization just because you didn't get to play. But in reality, why does Thomas Morstead, why is he coming out and saying this when he's probably right? Like, everybody shit on Robert Saleh this season, saying how terrible he was. And he also went on the podcast and said that after Aaron Rodgers went down, everybody gave up. Like, nobody knew what to do. And I feel you could see it in Robert Saleh. Like, you could see it on the sidelines every single game. Like, he was so fucking sick of it. And then all the shit with Zach Wilson and stuff. Like, he gave no energy after Aaron Rodgers was down.
I mean, I think that's pretty punishable. Like, it did seem like the air just got taken out of their sails after that. But it's like, you had so much hope for this coming season. So like, I almost get it for like a week or for a little bit after that happens. Like, you had Aaron Rodgers come into your organization. You made a bunch of moves. Like, you were expecting a much different team. So for him to go down on his third play,
yeah,
like that's demoralizing as a team.
Yeah, for like the first week or two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you get a little bit of a grace period.
Yeah,
but after that, it's like, okay, guys, let's try to win some games. And I just feel like it was okay, guys. Like, we'll have Aaron back next season. Like,
yeah, the whole conversation was about Aaron. Like, the entire, and that's Jets media too. That's not just Robert Saleh.
Yeah,
but like, as a head coach, like, it's showing how good of a head coach you are when you have obstacles and when you have hurdles, like losing your starting quarterback for an entire season that you didn't expect. It was like, either we have Aaron Rodgers or we're fucking done. Like, the whole show revolves around Aaron, which I don't think that's necessarily Aaron's fault entirely, but that's how he operates. Like, it's all around Aaron Rodgers. Like, he wants his guys. He wants, the offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett. He wanted him. Who else would have hired Nathaniel Hackett this year except for the Jets? Like, I'd be pissed off too. He also said on the podcast that, like, why did they hire? He basically said, why did they hire Nathaniel Hackett? Like, why are they making these? I just feel like Robert Saleh is in over his head. Like he hasn't had a quarterback since he's been there. And now he's like, well, I don't have a quarterback, so I can't get blamed. Like at some point, like you have to get the blame, like for not like stepping up and being a leader for your team. 1000%. So you wrote this down, is a tight end prospect from Illinois, Tip Raymond. I've never heard of this guy. So is he good?
No idea.
Okay. So he said during a press conference on the topic of birds not being real. So he's saying that birds are not real. Have you ever seen a baby pigeon? Yes, I have. Have you?
No.
You've never seen a baby pigeon? Okay.
I have.
How do we know that the power lines aren't pigeon recharging stations? Are we in or out on this conspiracy that birds are not real? This is like the earth is flat conversation. Are we fucking doing this?
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
are you
See,
in?
but I'm out on it. So I lie. So like my family owned pigeons growing up.
Oh, really?
Kind of wild. Yeah.
You guys owned every animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Every animal.
So like the thing is like I don't feel like I ever remember seeing like an actual like baby, like I don't know, baby chick, like pigeon pretty much. Like I remember seeing them smaller. So like I guess I have seen a baby pigeon, but I don't know. I just thought that was a weird thing to say during a press conference. First of all,
did somebody ask him about it?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, imagine going into like an interview with it, because they ask these prospects all crazy questions.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was after the interviews or before, because that's definitely a topic I'm bringing up. I'm gonna be like, you don't believe in birds? Little weird. Some I might not want on my team. Like there is some like Kyrie Irving type energy. Like you're giving me like the earth is flat, like same exact conversation. But how would they? What do you mean recharge? Like like they fly south too. Like it's just like they go to the warmer. Like it just all makes sense. Like I've never had
this. I've heard this question a lot. Like a lot of people believe in this. So like birds are like spies for the government and shit. Like
you can literally grab a bird and kill it and dissect it if you want.
See, but not all of them. You don't know.
So you think some birds are fake, but some birds are real? I'm
just saying, there's a possibility of it.
Don't you think that the birds would notice? Like, what do you think they're using? Like an AI system to like run these things? Like, I know the birds are going to be like, hey, there's something up with this guy. He's got something fucking mechanical in his ass. But there's no way someone wouldn't have found out, like ripping apart one open. Maybe we just, I don't think I could kill a bird though. Like a pigeon.
Like a pigeon?
Yeah. Like I understand like duck hunting or whatever, goose hunting, that's fine. But like pigeons and like maybe eagles, they might be. Maybe that's why, see, it would be less suspicious if it was an eagle, because that's
you're buying into it a little bit.
I might be with the eagles because I don't see them very often.
Yeah.
But when I see
and they're
one,
very protected.
Very.
Can't touch them. Can't kill them.
Right there, I might believe it. We might have to. Well, it's illegal to kill eagles, but we might have to give it a try and see what happens. All right. So the NFL Combine started, I think, today.
Yep.
I don't really watch
it. Was the big boys today. Yeah.
Yeah, I like watching I'm not big on. I wish I could watch like film and stuff on like big guys because it seems interesting. I just can't get into it. Like I don't know anything about it. Like the feet, that there's a lot that goes into offensive linemen. But I saw some big guys like do some really crazy stuff today. It's crazy how they're evolving like as athletes. Like we keep talking about like the past, like everybody's like, well, if they played in this era, dude, this era is the best era of the NFL because there is no athletes that like imagine like Steve Largent like going against like these athletes now. Like it just wouldn't work. But anyway, so there is a lot of NFL potential players not participating in the combine, such as Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels. What do you think about that? And do you think that the combine is essentially dying at this point?
I think 100% it is. I just don't feel like it's what it used to be. Like this used to be and it still kind of is for some of these guys that like barely made the invite or whatever. Like it's still a make or break. Like jump up into like a third day draft or whatever if you really perform well at the combine. But like at this point, like all the best, and I hate not seeing the top guys like perform there because we just like we want to see it as fans. But also at the same time, it's like what my whole point about this is like
Do you want to see it as fans though? Like, do you actually say? I watch the quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's what,
receivers.
and specifically, I'm talking about like why it's become a joke almost, and why I understand some of these guys that just aren't participating. Is like last year with CJ Stroud, like when they gave him that cognitive test or whatever, and like he bombed on it. They're like, oh, this guy's stupid. He doesn't have a high football IQ. And then look what he did this year.
Yeah.
So like, I get it. Like, it's the combine isn't everything, like as we saw with CJ Stroud, but I don't know. It's just, it doesn't feel the same. Like, I used to be excited to like look at what these guys did at the combine, and it's still cool. Like, I think there was an offensive lineman like 6'4", 300 pounds that ran like a 4.7 today or some shit.
There was also another guy who did an insane broad jump.
Yeah.
Insane. I don't know who. Chop. I think Chop. I don't know. I haven't looked into those prospects at all yet. So,
but I saw Billy Football from Barstool that posted a clip of that guy running the 4.7, the 6'4", 300 pound guy. He's like, Pat Ricard, you better watch out. he's coming to take your spot as the big boy that can move.
Yeah, I feel like the NFL Combine, like you said, like I feel like as a kid, like I used to really be excited because all of them would participate. It was an honor. Like now it doesn't feel like an honor anymore. Like it just feels like, you're just getting invited, and it's like, but why would the athletes participate? Because at this point, like Caleb Williams, for example, why the hell would he participate? Because at this point, you can only hurt your value. Yeah. Like you can't go higher than number one. So like, why would he participate? And it's like, I want to see him do it though. And like Jayden Daniels, like why would he participate? Like and potentially hurt his stock from going potentially number 2 all the way down to number 10. And second of all, these NFL teams take the NFL Combine not as much serious now because there's a lot of head coaches, GMs who aren't even going to this thing, which I think is crazy in itself because I feel like you can find gems at the NFL Combine, but I just don't feel like it's that important. They have pro days too. I feel like pro days are more important because you're throwing to guys who like why would I want to throw the guys who I've never had a chemistry with and something's off and like it would just ruin your draft stock? And like you want to see a guy and how they are with their teammates because that's who you're going to be around for the next 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. So I don't understand why they even have the NFL Combine anymore. I feel like it's a money grab at this point. And they should just have pro days in general because they're more exciting anyway. Like Zach Wilson's pro day when he had that sick fucking throw like across and everybody thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. Who's going to be that athlete this year? Who do you think, like quarterback wise, who do you think is going to be the guy that jumps up boards just because of their pro day or the combine?
I don't know if I had one guy, and I hate to say this because I do feel like he's going to be okay in the league, but like a Bo Nix almost is like he's going to have a phenomenal like pro day, or I don't even know if he's doing the combine, but he's going to jump up into that top 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 like QB conversation, and like someone. I mean, for me, it's Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels, and then it's a gap between who's the rest. But I feel like he would jump up into that conversation, and as we just talked about earlier, I could see us being like, "Oh, this Bo Nix guy, he's got something, and we're taking him number 2 overall." Or we like trade back a couple of spots, like the pick
and then take him, and then there's no like rebuttal because it's like, oh well, we traded back, got some assets, and took the quarterback. At this point, I feel like it's going to be either JJ McCarthy, just because we haven't seen him throw much, just because at Michigan, like they were such a run heavy team, like he's going to make throws that maybe people haven't seen him make yet. So I feel like he'll jump up some draft boards. Also, Michael Penix. I don't know. I don't know if he's participating in the NFL Combine. I think he is, but either way, Combine, Pro Day, whatever. I saw him make a throw in the hotel. I don't know if you fucking saw that. The thing was a laser. He has got insane arm talent. Like, I just feel like he's going to put that on display and he's going to jump up draft boards. I think personally he's the third best. I would personally say second best prospect, but everybody loves Caleb Williams. So I would personally say he's the third best prospect. And I think people are going to see that after his pro day. And I feel like a team, like if Atlanta doesn't get Justin Fields, like I could see them seeing JJ McCarthy at that 8 spot or Michael Penix and being like, well, he was great as pro day, great at the combine. Like we have to take this guy.
I saw a mock draft mock draft today that had the Falcons taking J.J. McCarthy.
Dude, I'd much rather have Justin Fields, like on any day of the week. So are you gonna watch the NFL Combine this weekend?
I think I'm gonna tune. So as you know, I'm in busy season. I'm gonna be probably in my office the entire weekend, but I might throw it up on my TV, like as a little like silent noise or whatever, and like just peek over it every now and then. Especially like if a Michael Penix is actually there at the combine, I want to see what the kid does, because I think I'm right there with you that he's in the top 4 or 5 best quarterbacks in this draft, and maybe even top 3. Like I've already said I'm stuck at my 1 and 2, but I want to see the kid do well, because I think he's going to be, and I think we said all season long, is that he's maybe one of, if not the most NFL ready quarterback because of that arm talent that he has. Yeah.
And just his pocket awareness and the throws that he was made, like everybody's going to base it off that national championship. And I hate it because, like I said earlier, everybody was on Michael Penix in the playoff the game before, and he was making throws that I've never seen before. He was literally throwing in between 2 defenders on a dime in the only spot that you can fit it in. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, we're looking at all these like 40 times, these like, you know, how athletic are these quarterbacks? And it's like, all you got to do is put on the film. Like, that's all I would care about. Like, I don't even know as an NFL GM, and this may be why I'm not an NFL GM. Am I going to show up to the NFL Combine? Probably not, because I can just go to pro days across the league. I will not be watching. It is my mom's 60th birthday. They want to give a shout out to her. Happy birthday, Mom. So we're going to Topgolf this weekend. Yeah. I'm so ready for golfing weather.
Yeah. We should do it. Was just like 60 degrees for this past 2 days. Dude, and I almost texted you like, dude, you want to go golfing?
Maryland weather is crazy. It was 60 degrees 2 days ago, and then I go out today and I go to pump gas in my car, and it's like fucking 35 and blowing.
Yeah. When I walked out, literally the past 2 or 3 mornings, like I like was walking out with shorts and I was like chilling. And then this morning I walked out with shorts and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Like it literally took my breath away because I was not expecting it. And it was just, it was cold as balls this morning.
We should do a show golfing. Like we should talk football and do a golf round. That'd be really fun. I'm really excited for golf. Like I forget like about golf until the season comes around again. And then I suck for like half of it. But then towards the end of the year, I start playing well and then it gets cold. It's like over and over and over.
When it finally starts to get warm in Maryland, which is usually like we get warm for like a week and then we go back down to the 30s.
Yeah.
So like I think we're in that point right now because I looking ahead at the forecast, it's going to be like up in the 50s and 60s consistently. But I think right now we're in that dip again where it's real cold. But when it really starts to get warm again, I want 2 things: golf and beer.
Yeah.
Like when it starts to get warm out, the urge for me to pop a cold one.
Oh my God. The other day,
insane.
Bro, I was so fucking prepared to pop a fucking Corona 2 days ago. Like me and my girlfriend were going to the gym and I got out and I was like, I told her, I was like, on Saturday, I am getting drunk at Topgolf just because I want it. Like I haven't felt the urge to drink all winter. Like I don't know what it is. Like, and there's nothing else to do but drink, but I haven't gotten the urge. Like I just haven't felt like I need it like at this point, and it sucks.
No, I mean, I've been, so winter is like, especially this past winter, I mean, it's really shot at my girlfriend. I wasn't really a huge wine drinker, but that's what I'm enjoying right now. Like I enjoy a glass of wine. Like, it's like when I'm late at night when I'm working and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a glass of wine, take the edge off, like take the stress away. But god damn, when it hits like that 60, 65 mark,
that Corona,
I just want to walk out on our back porch and just fucking hard pop one of them open and chug it. Dude. Like because like it's like I'm at the point now where I love day drinking way more than like going out at night. And so like drinking during the day, like my only argument for that is like I hate the hangover the next day.
I hate the hangover that night because usually it's that night, and I don't know. So I'm back and forth on this because this was a conversation that was being had on TikTok. Like somebody said, I love day drinking more. I hate going to bed early. Like it'll be like 6 o'clock. I am fucking hammered and like I need to go to sleep. And then you wake up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You're like, where the fuck am I? And you can't go back to sleep. That's
well, your day drinking looks a little different than mine does.
Yeah, I
usually pace myself. I'm in a nice buzz all day. I get to my peak, but then that's about the time where it's like start to settle down. I eat a meal, go down a little bit, and then I just start chugging the water. And then by the time I'm ready to go to bed, I'm tired. Like I'm kind of in that hangover stage, But like by the time I wake up the next morning, like I feel like a fucking brand new person. Like I don't feel it at all.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. I guess you do get more time to sleep it off. But I remember when we went on the boat in Myrtle Beach, we took a summer trip down to Myrtle Beach and we took a boat. That was the most I've ever drank in my life. Like being on a boat is just so fucking different. Like it's like the Coronas just fucking flow and you don't even realize it.
Yep.
And I was so drunk that me and Owen almost got into a fight because I was getting pissed off for no reason. Like dude, that made me never want to day drink again, I think, because then I was being an asshole. I was fucking tired. I couldn't even get out of the boat. I had to be basically carried outside of the boat. Like I felt like an ass.
Yeah. Well, that's and I feel like day drinking, especially for me, it's like I'm in a good buzz, and then all of a sudden, like if I overdo it, like I just hit a wall and I'm just fucking hammered. Or it's like we're doing an activity like the boat, like I'm chilling, I'm a good drunk, everything like that. As soon as we get off the boat and we're chilling, like just sitting down, I'm like, holy shit, I'm fucking hammered.
Yeah.
Like
I need food.
Yeah. And then that's when you need to go into the recovery stage immediately. You start eating the food, like you stop drinking completely. And that's you start to hydrate up, and that's how I always.
But every time after I eat, I don't want to drink anymore. Like my drinking is like I try and I'm like, eh. Like during the Super Bowl, like I was getting drunk and then I ate all that food and I was like, dude, I wasn't even drunk at that point.
No, I have a weird thing. Like I know a lot of people get hammered and like they immediately want food, but like I'm the opposite. Like I don't feel like eating when I'm drunk, and maybe it's for that reason. Like I like to get to the point where I'm done drinking, and then I'll have my meal because I'm already I just don't feel like drinking anymore. Right. So like I know when I hit that point, it's like okay, now I'm ready to eat, and now I'm ready to settle down for the day.
Right.
For the night.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, Jake, our first live stream is now complete. We should probably do this more often. I actually like this vibe a little bit. It's better than having to set up all this shit and then having to go and edit and do all that stuff. So if you guys are watching on X, you can go and click the YouTube link. I think I put it in there, and you guys can hit the subscribe button. It takes you 2 seconds. You will get notified. Hit the notification button. You get notified whenever we go live or do any content. It would be truly appreciated. And then also, if you guys can, there's links. Well, not links, but there's ads right here to our TikTok and to our X account. Go follow those. That would be a tremendous help for us. And Jake, thank you for joining me. And we will see you guys next week.